Okay, so next step is I'm going to kind of take a little bit of time and look inside the valve cover here. So I've got the hood off, and I can already see on the exhaust manifold. I'm not sure you can see that. I'll kind of zoom in here so you can kind of see where at one point in time the exhaust pipe has started to rust away, and I can see wrench marks on it, and the pipe has collapsed where someone has tried to make a repair a long time ago to get that pipe out. And sometimes those can be a challenge, and you have to get them out with beeswax and heat them up. So someone in the family did, the next best thing, and they just stuck another pipe down into the manifold to get by. So, and I'm interested to see, I'm hoping I can see signs of repairs through the years, so that I can, get a better assessment of the tractor, and the type of repairs that were made is usually an indicator of, whether the tractor was cared for or not. So, all right, so we're going to pull the valve cover off and take a look inside. And I kind of know what I'm going to see when I open that up, because back in the day, these tractors ran what's called a non-detergent engine oil in it. And non-detergent oil forms a black sticky film on all the engine components, and the idea was that if you allowed that sticky film to collect on the moving parts, it would help keep it lubricated. The only issue with that has changed in today's automotive science is that when that black sticky stuff collects, any metal particles that are floating around in the engine from normal wear, they also stick to that black sticky oil, and that causes a lot of premature wear on engine components. So I'm expecting to see this black tarry looking oil on the valve train here. So we'll get it off and see what we can see. Okay, so let me get a shot here so you can kind of see what I'm looking at, and y'all can follow along with me here. If you look inside the valve cover, you can see this black tarry looking, it's actually like tar, and it's pretty full in there with the tar. So here's the interesting thing. If you look down at the head, you can see that there's no collection of this tar on the head in here. There is a collection of tar on the rocker arms and the rocker shaft, but the head has no oily residue on it. So that's telling me that this head has been replaced at one time. Now I can see wrench marks on some of the bolt heads where someone recently has changed the head on the engine, and I can look down in between the head and the block. I can see the head gasket looks a little bit newer. So I'm going to say that there's a possibility that my uncle had some issues with the original head and replaced it with this head. So I do have a casting number on the head located right in here, and I have a book that lists you know, the casting numbers on certain types of engines. So I'll do a little research on that casting number and see if I can date the head and see if this head matches the date of the tractor. So alright, so I can see on the rocker arms as well that the valves are way out of adjustment. And that will directly determine how well the tractor runs. So before we do a startup, we'll have to address that. So alright, so we'll move right along. We'll go ahead and try to get this carburetor off of this thing, and we'll get it in the chemical soak and let it soak for a while so we can get it cleaned up. So stand by. Okay, so we got the carb off. We'll disassemble that and make the determination if we can reuse the parts without ordering a kit for it. Just enough just to get it running. So I'll get this thing disassembled and cleaned up and see what we can do with it. Okay, so while our carburetor is soaking, I've gone ahead and put a battery in this thing because I just want to see, you know, if it'll even turn over. So I can see down here where my uncle has added some extra wiring down here on the starter, and I think I figured out what he's done. And I mean that totally makes sense, but I'm not going to get into all that. But okay, so let's engage the starter here and see if this old girl will turn over. Okay, well that's a good sign. So while my carburetor's soaking, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity to check compression on all the cylinders and see, you know, this is going to give me an indication whether, you know, the engine needs to be rebuilt or whatnot. So stand by and I'll get that set up. Okay, so we're going to start with cylinder 1. Alright, we're back here on cylinder number 1. Okay, so I'm hoping for more than 90 pounds. I'm hoping, because that's typically what it's going to take to start this thing. Now, from the factory, they should be sitting around 125 or 130 brand new. So I'm hoping for at least 90. So let's give her a whirl and see what we got. And I got nothing. So let me see if I have a faulty gauge or a dead cylinder. I got a faulty gauge. Okay, we're back on cylinder 1. I had a faulty gauge, so let's just give this a shot again and see what happens here. Okay, so I'm sitting at 93 pounds. So if the other cylinders are in this condition, then I do believe we can get this thing running. So, all right, we'll move on to number 2. £92. All right, old girl, you gotta work with me now. I'm working with you, so you gotta work with me. All right, cylinder number 3. 95 pounds. Cylinder number 4. 120 pounds. Okay, so this is going to conclude today's video. I hope that you enjoyed watching this, and I hope that some of my family maybe learned a few things. And so the initial assessment of, just a small fraction of what needs to be looked at was done. We've got the carburetor in the chemical soak. We ran a compression test on the engine. I was hoping for a little bit higher numbers, but I'll take 90s. We suspect the cylinder head has been replaced. Matter of fact, I don't suspect, I know the cylinder head has been replaced, but I'm going to assume that my uncle ran into some issues years back, so I'll have to trust his judgment that he corrected whatever the issue was. So, but like I said, this concludes today's video. So if you enjoyed the videos, please send me a comment through the YouTube link, and that will allow the rest of the family to read your comments or stories about the tractor. So, I have no issues with Facebook or anything like that, but if you'll send the comment through the YouTube link, the whole family can share in the storyline for the tractor. So, if you don't want to do that, at least give me a thumbs up or subscribe. You can also shoot me an email at chadlhightower@gmail.com, or get in touch with one of the family members and just give me a call. So thanks for watching.